Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. It is now, according to the clock on my screen, it is now 6:01 p.m. I'd like to call the regular meeting of Sumter County Council for Tuesday, June 11th. Thank you. To order. Ms. B, would you please give us an invocation? Please stand and let us remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for your love, grace, protection, and all of your endless, abundant blessings you have provided for all of us. Please guide each of us at this meeting and continue to allow council members to make the right and righteous decisions. God, I also ask your blessings for the Fleming McGaney family. And God, please give each of them peace in their heart. Lord, as we are about to leave, when we are about to leave this meeting, God, please give us traveling grace so that we can continue to serve as you would have us to do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, before we approve the agenda, I'd like to move the presentation of Dr. Wright, Superintendent Wright, and Finance Manager Shatika Philman to right after the approval of the agenda. And I've already talked to Dr. Wright about this with us.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You need a motion?
Please.
Yeah, I'm making
We move to properly second that we approve the agenda with that one change. Any discussion? Hearing none, all.
Sure. Is there a reason for it?
For time's sake, that's all. I've talked to Dr. Wright. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I have a motion to approve the minutes. So we'll move properly seconded that we approve our minutes from our county council regular meeting on May 28th and our special meeting with county council on May 28th. Have a motion.
So moved.
What's that? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Dr. Wright, you're up.
Good evening, County Commissioners. At this time, I'm going to ask our Chief Finance Officer, Mrs. Shatika Spearman, to come and actually present our budget. And then with the County Council pleasure, I'd like to make a closing statement after the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Wright.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Maybe evening, maybe. I stand before you to present the fiscal year 24-25 budget for our general fund for your approval. Okay. For fiscal year 24-25, we have identified 6 main priorities that drive our budget for our coming year. They include a professional development focus, facility improvements, mental health supports, i.e. nurses, continuously recruiting and retaining high performance workforce, which is competitive salaries, post-ESSER operations, as ESSER sunsets September 30th of this year, and leveraging our fund balance. To begin our presentation, I'll start with the expenditure projections that we have. For fiscal year 24-25, the state is projecting a base salary for our teachers of $47,000. We are currently at $44,625. And so to take us up to that would be an amount of expenditure that we would have to identify as an increase for the future year. because we have to keep teachers on their scale according to their years of instruction. And so that proposal will meet the state's requirement at $47,000. Our first identified expenditure is of course, our teacher salary step. We conducted a salary study this year and attempted to get the competitive salaries in line, and bus drivers. That we are expecting for salary and fringe an increase of $6.7 million. Also, there is a bus driver proposed 2.75% increase, and that effect is about $38,000 on our budget. We have a variable cost for bus monitors. We want to increase their hourly rate to $11 an hour. Step increases for all other staff. Again, we don't want to get behind again in our step increases for all staff. So to achieve that with every staff member, other than the teachers and bus drivers, that would be $1.5 million. We also have 5 new positions that we are in need of for our organizational chart. That comes to the tune of $776,000, including salaries and fringe, an additional AP for one of our schools, $125,000, and a teacher, homebound virtual teacher, for $115,000. We have contract nurses. Nurse supports are on the rise at most of our school districts, and so we estimate an additional $500,000 to provide those services. We've identified an increase in audit services to the tune of $6,000. There's an increase in insurance premiums to the tune of $27,000. Security has increased greatly for our district to ensure that we have our SROs in position. We estimate an additional $600,000 for that. As professional development as our focus, we've identified $75,000 for that. We've also identified $150,000 for our academic software, which was originally paid by ESSER. So to date, we have come to a total of $10.7 million for an additional amount needed above what we currently have as our budget. For our fiscal year 25 revenue projections, we've talked with county council personnel, and we've identified another $874,000 more than what we budgeted for this year. We also see that we have some investments, our bond investments, they're doing very well. And we identified another $1.5 million in revenue based on our bond activity. Health insurance will be provided by the state. That is an additional $1.7 million for Sumter School District. Retiree insurance revenue to support that will come from the state to the tune of $496,000. Our state aid to classrooms shows a current increase of $1.8 million. Property tax relief, tier 3, we've identified a $1,283,000 increase in revenue. And as a reduction in revenue from the ESSER grant, we were able to take indirect costs off of that grant. And so with ESSER being gone, that revenue will decrease for us. And that is a minus revenue of $350,000 that we estimate. And so for revenue, we project $7.4 million additional dollars. As you can tell, there is a gap there from the $10 million in expenditures and the $7.4 in revenue. To provide for that gap, we have identified taking a portion of our fund balance off of our financial statements to the tune of $3,369,894 to fill that gap. In addition, we want to establish an assigned fund balance of about $3,000, which is dedicated to improvements for our facilities and building studies. Again, even as of today, June 11th, these numbers still may change because the state has not completed their process. And so we present what we have for you at this date. The next process for us is, of course, your review and your approval. And then we will have our second reading hopefully this week to get our board to finalize. And that concludes the review of what our budget looks like for 24-25.
Thank you, members of the county council. I have just a brief additional statement. As you have heard, now that we've heard the proposed budget, I'd like to say just a couple of things for the record. Surprisingly so this year, we're not asking for a millage increase. This is mainly due to two things. Some of the members of our board of trustees shared with me that we probably should not ask for millage this year, but to forward think about building new schools. Of course, we know that at some point, hopefully really soon, we're going to have significant conversations about how to build state-of-the-art facilities for our students. Our buildings are aging. Additionally, there was significant conversation at the state finance officer's meeting about not asking for millage and spending down fund balances that was initiated by the state legislature. Of particular note, fund balances that have been built by school districts are typically the result of teacher shortages. Moreover, ESSER funding that we've enjoyed, if you want to say that, for the past 3 years is ending as of September of 2024, which is just a few months away. And while it was great, it wasn't alone a fund balance booster, but an earmarked funding that allowed us to get some deferred needs taken care of. In no way should this lack of millage request be an indicator that we don't have needs. Our needs are tremendous. Additionally, these needs are current and future. We need facilities. We need increased safety and security. And we need to continue to ensure that we're competitive. So just wanted to make sure that we understood that. Thank you for your support, continued support, and we look forward to working with you in the future to continue to make Sumter School District the very best that they can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wright.
Mr. Chairman. Questions? I do have some questions. Sure. The questions would be for Sumter School District staff. Good afternoon, Sumter School District. It's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight. Thank you for coming out. Just a few questions. I got a couple phone calls today about the board meeting last night, and I was told that there were a couple of board members who expressed some concern about the district taking a position that they did not need millage, that they were in fact uninformed that the district took a vote on it and delved into some question and answer scenarios. So my question is, was there total agreement by the Sumter School Board that there would not be a request for a millage increase?
I would not use the word total, no, sir.
Okay, so then that information was not correct that we initially got. If you use fund balances to fund recurring costs, what does that look like if you do that over and over again? What happens?
It would eradicate fund balance eventually.
Because it's a recurring cost.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, sir.
And is it not true that the Government Finance Officers Association encourages government entities to not use fund balance for recurring costs? Is that an accurate statement?
That is typically the case, yes, sir.
If you were to receive a millage increase this year, what would you apply it to?
It'd be kind of a take your pick kind of thing, to be honest with you. But we still, although we have done some significant work with employee pay increases, we desperately need to do some facility study work to plan for future construction, things of that nature. We also will continue to have increased costs with business operations. So while, as you heard, we're expecting about $7 million more in revenue, the cost of doing business, despite the way that we could have figured, everybody looks at 27 buildings and so forth, but operating school districts is costing more because of the outside entities we use, safety, be it personnel, help that we get, things like salary studies that we complete, hopefully we won't need for a while. But the cost of doing business for school districts is going up rather than down, just like it is everywhere else. So, but the primary thing would be facilities, obviously facilities study, facilities upgrades. The average age of our buildings in the district, as I've kind of said publicly, is over 60 years old. So the cost just of maintaining those buildings also is a concern. So
I was interested in listening to some of your increased costs. 6.7 million for bus drivers, $11 an hour for bus monitors, 1.5 million for step increases, 776,000 for 5 new positions, 125,000 for AP, 115,000 for homebound teachers, $500,000 for nurses, 6,000 for audit, 600,000 for SROs, and a negative 350 for ESRA. Most of these are recurring costs.
that's right.
And so you would have to go into your fund balance at a tune of over $3 million to address this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Before you sit down, I have a question, please. My major concern is that I am looking at the performance of students in the district. And it seems like on all grade levels, our students are performing far below state standards. Now, we as a school district is ranked in the bottom 25% of the schools. So we have a need to improve the performance standards of our students. I read something that said our 3 high schools, Crestwood, Sumter, and Lakewood. Sumter and Crestwood was rated below average. Below average. And Lakewood was rated unsatisfactory. Okay? That means to me that our kids, our students in public education are not prepared for future education and employment because high school is not giving them the needs to meet those requirements. If they intend to fail in schools, below average schools, then evidently they're not getting what they need. When the house is on fire, the first thing you need to do is put out the fire. And our house is on fire. I mean, our kids are flunking. And we talk about all of the things that we need or want to do, the new technical school, we want to build new buildings and all that. That's great. That's something we need to do. But how is that helping our kids today? their future is not bright according to that study. Now, I know every year we've been coming up and asking for a millage increase. And I know that somehow or another you might feel a little gun shy because you haven't got it. This body refuses to follow the law, South Carolina Act 388, that tells every individual school district the amount of millage they are entitled to receive every year. And we haven't been given that to you. Because of us not giving you that millage, you were behind almost $10 million in money that you should have received. You didn't get it. So now you are here and saying, we all didn't agree with not asking for a millage, but there are some people that want a millage. But evidently the majority of the board maybe said they don't want to do it, want one. But still, I am concerned about our kids. And I'm going to be honest. You see, a lot of people don't like me to say or tell the truth. That's hard to say sometimes for people. But I am looking at the kids in our public school. The kids in our public school, a lot of them are Title I kids. I mean, they're coming from low-income families. Low-income families, Title I. That's why they're entitled to free lunch and breakfast. If they can get to school and get it. A lot of times the buses don't allow them to get to school to eat. And I was talking to, and I don't want to give her name, a lady at Sumter High who said, I said, what happens when the kids show up late, the bus don't pick them up? Because on Myrtle Beach Highway sometimes I drive down the road in the morning and I see kids still standing out there at 8:30. And I said, Lord, school started at 7:30, 8:30, they standing on the road. But I asked this lady, I said, what happens when kids at Sumter High show up late? And they said they give them a pass and they just send them to the classroom without eating. So these kids are coming there hungry, but we're going to sit back and say, go to your class and wait until 11, 12 o'clock before you can eat. I don't think they're going to be concentrated that much on education with their stomachs growling. That's the problem we have. But it seems like an issue with us is, who are these colored kids in public education? And majority of them, over about 65% or more, look like me. Look like me. And I'm sitting here with these council people who, to me, don't care whether these kids get an education. And that's why we can't get the millage passed. Because they're worried about putting a tax on their business, which the law says, South Carolina Act 388, I don't know if many of you are aware of that law. You should go read it, because it was passed in 2006 by a majority Republican General Assembly that took taxes off of wealthy people, people who own $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 homes. They don't have to pay any taxes on their property, on their home anymore. And they shifted their taxes to the businesses.
rental property and so forth. But now they don't even want to pay the taxes on the rental property. So here these wealthy people are living like fat cats and don't have to support public education anymore because, you know, every year or time when they have a tax reassessment, their property tax go up and they're saying, well, we can afford to pay this property tax. So the General Assembly, Republicans passed a law and said, we're going to help you and not pay taxes. Now, people are coming out and saying, that law is unfair. They need to change that. But they cannot get enough people in the General Assembly because these wealthy people don't want to change the law. That's the problem we have. They don't want to change the law. So now we're sitting here, and I'm concerned because, you know, we talk about, here we are now talking about all the problems that we're having in our county with violence, guns, all of this. And what are we going to do? Well, maybe a lot of their problems are caused by kids who never got a good education. Never got a good education. So they're not out there employed. They can't get jobs like other people. So what do? They hustle. And they do things. And they sell guns, sell drugs. That's what we got. So here we are talking about safety and helping to keep the community safe, and we are putting our kids in our community who are not even prepared for future educational employment. I remember this personnel manager from Eaton Corporation, and he said, you know what? I can't even get employees because I can't even get people to pass a basic math test. A basic math test. And let's face it, we are low. Our students are far low in math and reading. So that's what I'm saying. They can't even get a job. So they're going to sort the other ways, get an income or get money. So when we talk about stopping the violence, we need to look at how is education causing that violence to happen, or lack of education. We need to look at that. Our school district is a failure. And you know what I'm blamed for that? Not you, you just got here. Because it was a failure before you got here. But some of these board members know what's going on. They've been around the community, they know. And I'm blaming these board members because they're not concerned about the progress in increasing the level of education for poor kids in Sumter School District. Mr. Chairman, I yield back whatever. Thank you.
Dr. Wright.
Yes, sir.
What is your, I got you for this time. What is your current fund balance?
About 51 million.
Last year, I predicted that because of all of the openings, I predicted that there would be about $6 million added to the fund balance. And as it turns out, it was 16.2. Yes, it was at the end of the audit, it was 16.2. Now, you spent it down, but it was 16.2.
Chairman, may I speak?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I remember that article because that article was made public and had in big bold letters and numbers 16 million. That was before all of our expenditures came in. We were still paying expenditures related to that year. So it ended up being about 9. Yes, sir, that's correct.
When this audit comes out, what is your anticipation?
Right now, we haven't received over $30 million of our money. And so it's hard to make that estimation, but I will begin, if you tune into my following meetings, I will be making predictions about that.
Okay, and then one last question. how much of a fund balance is required by state law?
1 month is required, in certain, entities. 1 month is required per hour policy. 2 months, I believe, is required by GFOA. And 3 months is what our auditors would like for us. And that's 3 months of general fund expenditures.
And how much is that?
Monthly, that'll be about anywhere from 10 to 12 million for 1 month, and you multiply that times 3. And we'll get that.
Thank you. Mr. Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to remind the chair that based on parliamentary procedures, the chair should rarely speak.
That's not true. I
Well,
represent a district. I represent a district 2.
And you may
Mr.
not want to
Washington.
be chair, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
But
I
that's
can
what
be
the
chair.
rule- but that's what the rules say.
No, that's not what the
Well, I
rules
can
say.
show it to you.
Well, this is a county council. I represent a district as well. So I can speak on behalf of my constituents just as you can.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. I'm just sharing with you
Okay?
what Robert's
Thank
Rules
you.
of Order
Thank you for
says,
the information.
which you indicated that we would be using from now on. So I would encourage the chair to abide by the rules of Robert's Rules of Order.
And I will continue to represent my constituents, Mr. Washington.
So my second question, Mr. Chairman, is what is the position of county council on the use of fund balances for recurring expenses? What is our position on that? Mr. Chair, that question's to you.
I don't run the count.
You're the chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We have an administrator that runs the business, Mr. Washington.
You should know, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask you this. What is the rate of education for your kids at your district that you represent in South Sumter? Are you aware of their standards and if their schools, if they're performing, if they're passing?
It's about the same.
Are you aware of that?
Yes, it's about the, just as you indicated. Just as you indicated.
It's poor, right?
Yes.
Poor. And that's my thing.
Mr. Chairman, I was
If
still
it's so poor, if all these districts are so poor, why the heck are we taking money that the schools are entitled to and not giving it to them? That's my question. So that the rich people who own these big houses don't have to pay taxes.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm also waiting on an answer to the council's
We have
position.
used our fund balance to balance our budget.
That's not what I asked you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your answer, but that's not what I asked you. What I asked you, Mr. Chairman, respectfully, is what is this council's position on using fund balances for recurring costs? And the reason I asked you that question is because all of the articles that I have read from all of the people who do this every day, unlike you and I, what they say is that recurring costs should not be used to pay with fund balances. So what is this council's position? If we don't have a position, just say that.
I don't know.
Don't you think we should know, Mr.
All you
Chairman?
gotta do is ask the administrator.
Well, I'm asking you right now.
I'm telling you, I don't know.
I can't recognize the county administrator. You're the chairman.
Mr. Nixon, do you have an answer for Mr. Washington's question?
Chairman, it's been the practice at this council for a number of years to use reoccurring costs in our fund balance.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, do you know that that is absolutely against the accounting best practices? And my second question is, does this council want to continue doing something that we know, we have been told it is wrong? Mr. Chairman.
We will continue to conduct business as we have in the past, as long as the fund balance doesn't go below what we maintain.
That was not my question, Mr. Chairman.
These questions to do with county council has nothing to do with the presentation from the school district.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think you can make that decision. Just as you, I represent the district. And these are questions that my constituents have, and I am respectfully asking for an answer about this council's position. And as a member of this council, I deserve an answer, and I expect one.
He just told you.
No, that's not what he said. He said what we have been doing. My question is, what is the council's policy? That is the question that I want the answer to. I don't want to hear about what we've done yesteryear or 10 years ago or 20 years ago or when Mickey Mouse appeared at council. I want to know, what is our policy? And if we don't have one, just say it.
I'll tell you, I don't know. I'll have the answer for you.
So we're going to vote on this and we don't even know what our policy is?
This is a presentation.
And so we're going to accept it?
It's a presentation.
Right.
It's a presentation.
But look at the background that we heard. The full school board didn't even endorse not requesting a millage increase. And here, they've been told to use their fund balance. We know it's not appropriate.
The state told them to do it.
That doesn't make it appropriate.
This is a presentation. We've got nothing to vote on tonight as far as the school.
Of course we don't.
No, we don't.
That was already predetermined.
But
But you heard the needs. But you heard the needs, and as
But they're
leaders,
not asking.
you heard the needs, and as leaders of this council, it's our responsibility to address the needs. And you and I both know why there is not a request. Because they were browbeaten.
By who?
They were browbeaten. You heard what the superintendent said in
No,
terms of their
he's-
needs.
he's
I can
not-
read them back to you again, all the
Whole thing
time.
about browbeating Mr.
No,
Walker.
he didn't. I did. I did.
You've been browbeating this school district for years, so
Well,
how you gonna act
got a
like,
lot-
how you gonna act like
got a
without
lot of clout
George?
if I can browbeat 9 people.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I recall last year, all the way up to a couple months ago, we were supposed to have workshops with the school district. Then I get a text message saying the workshop has been canceled. How can we work jointly with the school district if we won't even meet with them and have workshops during the course of the year? This is not the way to do business.
Dr. Wright, do you have anything else to present to us, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Next item on the agenda.
Mr.
All
Chairman,
the
before we move on, I've been on this council for 20 years. Mr. Washington, Councilman Washington, this is first term. We don't have a policy. Now, why don't we just admit that we don't have a policy, okay? So that's something that we need to do, because you always trying to get people to spend their fund balance when they should be doing on reoccurring items.
Thank you.
Good evening. Helen Rigman, the planning staff. Land use matter up first is RZ 2408 at 1181 North Pike West. This is a county request being brought forward by Carl Croft, who is the authorized agent as well as the property owner. It is a request to rezone approximately 0.32 acres of a larger property from residential 9 to general commercial at 1181 North Pike West. The property that you see highlighted in red is the entirety of the tract. It is currently undeveloped, and it is right there at the intersection where Pike and 378 kind of meet to get off to go to Camden Highway. As you can see, that piece of property is actually split zoned in such a way that the westernmost piece of the property is zoned residential and the easternmost part is general commercial, with general commercial to the northwest of it as well as to the east and south across Pike. When we look at rezone requests, we look at the land use designation under the comprehensive land use plan. In this particular instance, the property is in the suburban development planning area, and is characterized and influenced by modern suburban development with the separation of distinct commercial, residential, and industrial uses. Functionally, this pattern of development amounts to a strict separation of homogeneous residential and enclaves of strict commercial corridors. In this particular instance, this is the southern end of what used to be a residential neighborhood many, many years ago, but over the time it has transitioned to be used for a combination of light industrial and commercial uses, primarily because of its presence and proximity to the bypass, as well as its location along the frontage of Pike, which has a significant amount of traffic. In this particular instance, the request to rezone the approximately third acre from R9 to general commercial to be compatible with the rest of the plot is reasonable and supported by the comprehensive land use plan. The Planning Commission does recommend approval of the request. It does align with zoning best practices, and the Planning Commission does believe it's reasonable. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Approval first reading.
Second. Moved and properly seconded that we have first reading of RZ 2408. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All for it. First reading is passed. Ordinance number 2403.
This is second reading. The public hearing was held at last meeting. This is a request being brought forward by planning staff through the county to amend Article 1, parts of Article 1 and parts of Article 5 to clarify that variances should not be granted on special exception uses. The portion that you see highlighted in the screen in yellow is actually language that was added as a result of the Land Use Committee meeting at the prior meeting with requests from council to add additional language to the text amendment to make it clear that although variances cannot be granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals, an applicant has the ability to file a zoning ordinance text amendment to ask for relief from the ordinance through county council as a text amendment. So we have added additional language to the text amendment request. The things that you see in green would be added. This is part of what was originally in the staff reports. We'd be adding a new subsection under variances that the Board of Appeals can't grant a variance to be effective, which would provide relief from any special design review criteria outlined in Article 5B3 for certain hazardous or potentially disruptive land development activities. So this makes it very clear in the variance process that the Board of Zoning Appeals can't give variances from those design criteria. They're specifically written for a purpose. And then the language that you see on the screen in yellow is what was added after the last meeting that makes it clear that even though the Board of Zoning Appeals cannot grant variances from special exception design criteria, if an applicant believes that it is reasonable for a standard to be changed for their use or based on their particular instance, they have the right to file for a text amendment through Planning Commission and do it as a formal amendment to the Zoning and Development Standards Ordinance, which goes through council, through public hearing, and through readings. If that successfully occurs, then they would come back to the BZA to have their public hearing request for that use approval. Again, we also make it clear through the special exception process, the language is was part of the original request, that although the Board of Zoning Appeals has the ability to modify an application through the approval process, that modification cannot be to lessen or reduce the requirements that are part of the special exception criteria, but it can enhance an approval requirement or add additional conditions to make a use more harmonious with the neighborhood in which it's located. And then we mirror the language that we added in Article 1 to Article 5 with the special design review criteria to make it clear as people are reading through that section that if there is a criteria that they don't believe they can meet, but it warrants asking for some sort of relief, that they can file to the Board of Zoning or to the County Council through Planning Commission for an ordinance text amendment. So we add that language in two places. Planning Commission does recommend approval of this request. We do believe that this proposed amendment removes ambiguity from the ordinance and it places the burden and responsibility of granting any relief for special exception criteria to council, which is the ultimate arbiter of the zoning ordinance. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I'd like to thank you, Ellen, and the county attorney for helping with this. I'll make a motion to approve second reading.
Second. We'll move it properly second until we have second reading on RZ 2406. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Second reading is passed. RZ 2407.
There have been no changes to this request. It's second reading. You continue to
Move for
recommend
third reading.
approval.
Second. Been moved and properly seconded that we have third reading on RZ 2407. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Third reading is passed. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 24.
There's one more reason.
I'm sorry,
There's one,
it's 20. Okay, I'm sorry. Boulevard.
Boulevard Road, third reading.
Move for approval.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded that we have third reading on Boulevard Road. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Is that it? Thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Reed. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 241004, otherwise known as the Capital Project Sales Act or the penny tax. All of the projects have been presented to us. Prior to second reading, we will have a public hearing. And I would like to remind the public that this council cannot change any of the projects. Only thing we can do is vote it up or down as to whether or not it will proceed to the ballot in November to allow the citizens of Sumter County to vote yes or no on authorizing the penny sales tax.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question on this, please. And maybe I missed it all together, but is this tax for 7 years or 8 years?
It's 8 years.
When
Because it's a
did
new
we
tax.
change it to 8 years?
That's the law.
Oh,
Mr. Chair, if I can clarify, the 7 year was if we would have reimposed the tax, in other words, we continued the tax, but because we had to start over again, it was moved to 8 years. That was discussed early on in the meetings. I know that there's been some prints that says seven years, but it's actually 8 years, and that's what's in the referendum, 8 years.
yeah, and I noticed it in there, but does the public know that this is for 8 years? Really? I know we see it,
Yes.
but we've been out here preaching for years that it's 7 years. And I was amazed that it's now 8 years. Okay.
And that's what.
I received a call, actually, I called the item. When the item reported that it was 7 years, I called them and told them that that was an error, that it was 8 years, and they said they were going to reprint it and show 8 years. I don't know if they did or not, but I called the item to correct that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Washington.
I have a series of questions, but I'm happy to wait until after the public hearing. Your pleasure.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone wanting to speak to council concerning this matter, please proceed to the podium. State your name for the record. Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
You have an arm in the back, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I asked you to proceed to the podium. I'm sorry.
Hello, my name is Marcella, and I am totally
Your last name, please, ma'am.
Garner. I am totally new to South Carolina. This is my first time being here. I don't know any of the laws, but I do have a question. I don't even know if this is the right question to ask at this time. But I hear you talking about raising taxes, and was just on the internet looking at what the minimum wages are. Am I correct when I say $7.25? So, if the prices of things are going up, how does the average person making $7.25 an hour expected to be able to pay the things that they need? Like you mentioned about the insurance prices are going up, and definitely we know food prices are going up. So everything is going up except a person's paycheck. Am I in the right place to answer this question?
Yeah, but we can talk to you after the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public hearing is now closed. Move approval, second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we have second reading on ordinance 241004. Discussion. Mr. Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple questions, I'll direct them to you, and of course you can direct them to who they need to go to. The project list that has been floating around with the projects on it, is that list in order of priority?
Yes.
Yes. I think so. Number one would be the first project, number two would be the second, and they would be fulfilled in that order. Correct? Is that yes? I mean,
It's not
yes or no?
It's not a yes or no. The bond pays for stuff ahead of time to help. So it's not yes or no.
So we don't know.
Mr. Mixon.
Mr. Chair, Councilman Washington, in the past, they are ranked prioritized, and the commission goes through a process to do that. However, it's been the practice of the previous pennies to address each project as they are available, so they're not waiting on just the project's priority. So a project near the bottom, if it's ready and easily accomplished, it will obviously be approved and move forward. There are some projects that may be ranked near the front that may take 6 or 7 years to accomplish, so it may take that long, but in other words, we don't wait and do it sequentially by the number to accomplish the task, if that answers your question, sir.
Mr. Chairman, what department manages the penny tax progress project?
Mr. Mixon.
Procurement department is responsible for the management of the purchases, and our finance department manages the financial side of it.
Mr. Chairman, have all the prior penny for progress projects been completed?
Not yet, Mr. Mixon.
No, sir.
Were there any projects removed from the prior penny for progress ordinances that voters approved in 08 and 14?
No, sir.
How many projects have not been completed?
Don't have the list, I don't have the list in front of me, but I believe there's probably around 12 or 13 projects that are still what we would consider active.
Is there a reason why we haven't completed them?
Well, some projects are under engineering design work still. They're more complicated projects. Some projects' scope has not been defined well enough, and there's other projects that we're still trying to leverage additional dollars.
So that would mean that some projects came in over budget?
Yes, sir.
Did any projects come in under budget?
Probably a couple of them. I would say yes, sir. Probably a couple of them came in under budget.
And I would assume those funds would go to the projects that were over budgeted?
And those that are still active, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, can you explain to me how we got the projects on the list presented by the Penny for Progress Committee?
It came from the city and from us, and we had several meetings where Mr. Mixon presented the county projects to us. And we approved them, and we presented them to the commissioners for us, I know. As did the city.
We approved the projects that were presented to us because there were projects that council members requested that were not on the list. So we approved the projects that were presented to us. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
As far as I know, Mr. Washington.
Okay. One last question. On November 20th, 2023, according to an investigation by the Post and Courier, it shined a light on questionable government conduct in partnership with community newspapers around South Carolina. And it was reported that our county failed to submit quarterly reports to the South Carolina Department of Revenue that detail revenue generated from the 2008 and 2014 penny taxes that were used. At this point, Has the county submitted those reports as requested to the South Carolina Department of Revenue?
Mr. Mixon?
Yes, sir. And actually, they actually came over and did their audit and then informed us that those requirements were added after our capital penny sales tax was implemented.
Okay.
And since then, we completed our audit and it got final approval. Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my questions.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving second reading on ordinance 24-1444, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I abstain.
I abstain also, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, it passes 4 with 2 abstentions. Motion and discussion on Kangaroo Lane. What is your motion, Mr. White?
The motion does not come first in my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
We've already had over an hour of discussion with this. Is there anything new that you want to present?
Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to stay here as long as it takes. That's my job. And citizens have an issue and I want to address it.
Okay, go ahead.
I keep hearing whispering.
What's your motion, Mr. Washington?
First of all, Mr. Vice Chairman, you need to address the chair. You should not address me directly, Mr. Vice Chair.
Parliamentary, you want to go by procedure.
You should not address me directly, Mr. Vice Chair. You should address the chair.
Okay, go ahead.
And I didn't need your permission to talk. Kangaroo Lane, named in 1999. There was a county sign placed on the road. And in 2022, the green sign was replaced with a blue sign, which means it was there 23 years. 9 properties. According to South Carolina law, if you can show continued use or enjoyment for a period of 20 years, then a prescriptive easement is established through action that is maintaining the road for over 23 years and representation, which was the green signage. The county established a prescriptive easement. Furthermore, also through its action and representation, the county established a matter of de facto. De facto is a legal term meaning in fact or in reality, which is used to qualify many legal concepts, even when the formal legal requirements have not been met. De facto law refers to a legal practice or formality that is not specifically enumerated by law. In this scenario, the Gettings family relied on and were incentivized to purchase their home on Kangaroo Lane based on what we now know was a misrepresentation by the county. And it appears the county simply wants to dismiss it as a mistake. The problem with that, Mr. Chairman, is the county's mistake was a component of the Gettings investment. And the material misrepresentation by Sumter County Council has a liable component that must be addressed with all parties. I therefore move that this body agree to meet with the affected parties and work out a compromise settlement that is acceptable to everyone. That is my motion.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I understand these private roads, and I certainly am trying to come up with ways to deal with private roads. I know we met with the Gettings in my committee, and we talked about it, and we could never find where the county owned the road, and I understand what you're saying. It's different than the county owning the road. I did go through 2 roads I can think of right off the top of my district that had green signs. We maintained them for off and on. And these were people in my district, I call them friends. And I worked as hard as I could to try to figure out how we could accept their roads, which we couldn't. 2 of those roads, both of them were in my district, and I tried. I wanted to help the people, but it wasn't our road. And my question to them, who owns the road right now? Who is the owner of this road? The land owner of this road? Could someone tell me that?
Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole.
Mr. Cole, why is he not asking for us?
And he's been paying taxes on the road.
Why is he not here asking us? If he owns the road, should he be here asking us to do something with the road?
He has, Mr. Cole, and I don't know.
He's been here.
I don't know Mr. Cole.
I don't either.
But what I can tell you is that he has enjoyed for 23 years the county maintaining his road free of charge. And other folks have made an investment by buying homes on that road. And now the rug is being snatched from under them. And we have skin in the game, and we need to make it right. And it's not right now.
Should he be the one making the request?
Not necessarily.
The property owner?
Because these folks have an investment. So do the other 8 occupants who live on the road. The fact is, Councilman Dazzle, the county erected a county sign. Okay, you make a mistake, you take it down after the first year. Okay, we overlooked it. We take it down the second year. Okay, we overlooked it again. The 3rd year, the 4th year, the 10th year, the 15th year, the 20th year, 23 years the sign has been there. As I said in a prior council meeting, this is like common law marriage. And we have skin in the game, and we need to make these people right.
I could say the same thing with a couple roads in my district. They had a green sign on it. It stayed there forever. I think at that point we were just putting up green signs. We were putting up any signs because we had to meet this E911 that we were starting to adapt. And we had to have signs on the roads. It didn't matter if they were green, blue, purple, whatever. We were trying to put signs up so the ambulance would know exactly where they needed to go. And so both of these roads had green signs. Both of them were scraped off and on by the county. And they were private roads, and we never came up with what kind of marriage you're talking about with these roads. Common law, excuse me. So, to me, it's no different than this road that we're talking about.
Here's what I would say to you, Councilman from Dazzle, and your district bumps up to my district. If you said to me that these folks that you speak of, who are friends of yours, that you want to make it right with them, I can assure you, I'll vote with you. And I can assure you that the councilman from Myrtle Beach Highway will vote with you too, to make them right. That's the
by
right
accepting
thing.
the road.
That's the right thing.
Well, it was a private road.
What did we do for 23 years? You can't do that to people.
I agree. There's a problem when it came to us working on that road.
20.
But it was a mistake, is what we were told.
So essentially what we're saying to the Gettings is eat it. It doesn't matter that you built your home on this road under the auspices that it's a county road and the sign was there for 23 years. What we're saying is we don't care. And we're not gonna do anything about it.
Well, explain to me how you think we can make it right.
We need to take the road into the system and maintain it.
I will not accept private roads that don't meet our standards right now. Any road in our system.
Well, Councilman from Dalzell.
That's my opinion, but I'm on the wall.
Well, let's talk about it a little bit more, because Councilman from Dalzell, all it requires is that we amend the ordinance. And we can amend the ordinance in a variety of ways. We can put in restrictions. There are a whole lot of things we can do to amend the ordinance to accommodate scenarios like this, and also to accommodate people who live on private roads that don't have egress and ingress. And that's state law, because law enforcement has to be able to get to these folks. And the sheriff has said, in a lot of instances, that cannot happen. We are on the wrong side of the law, and we're on the wrong side of the people.
I am working as hard as I can to try to figure something out for people that have some type of an emergency system where we can't get fire trucks in, we can't get EMS in there, and hopefully we can come up with a solution to that.
But I'll be honest with you, Councilman from Dalzell. I think part of our problem, we are Sumter County, not Charleston County, not Greenville. And sometimes we operate like we think we're Charleston County and Greenville and Rock Hill and some of the larger counties. What I want this council to do is to focus on basic services. And once we get that right, then we can branch out into some of the other things that some of us may want to do. But we are not doing a good job with basic services.
Would you say the penny is addressing basic services for the county?
The list?
Yeah, for the county.
I don't think you want me to talk about that right now.
It seems like we're talking fire, EMS, and roads. That's basic service. Radios.
If you insist, I will, but I don't think you want me to talk about that right now.
Okay.
We got a motion and a second.
All right, I'm sorry.
Any
Mr.
further
Chairman,
discussion?
I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the conversation. And it's like we have some citizens in this county that have been misled. And it's through no fault of their own. They were misled by the county. The county misled them. And as a result of being misled, they made some decisions to do things based on what was being said. And it's only obvious. If you got a sign out there and it's saying that it's a public road, and people then buy property because it's a public road and they want to build on that road, then we come back and say, it's not a public road. I'm sorry you bought the property. You're on your own. That's unfair. That's totally unfair. And this when we have to have a conscience. We have to have a heart. I mean, I feel bad for these citizens because they have been misled. And now we want to say, sorry, we can't do anything for it. And that's wrong. We need to come up with some way that we can help those individuals because they're citizens, just like we are. And I guarantee you, every one of you sitting in here, if you were misled that way, you will be upset too. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chair, I want to remind council that my motion was not to accept the road into the system. My motion was to bring all parties together and create a solution that is satisfactory with everyone. That's not a heavy lift. That means you have a conversation and try to come to some common agreement. We don't even want to do that.
You said you wanted to
No, I said that to you, that wasn't my motion.
Okay, I thought that was part of the motion.
Ms. Blandon, would you repeat my motion? Or would you like for me to repeat it? I can repeat it. Hold on. I therefore move that this body agree to meet with the affected parties and work out a compromise settlement that is acceptable to everyone. That's my motion.
And I asked you what was the compromise, and you said.
But we don't know what the compromise, you have to
That's
work
what
through
you
the
told me. I was
compromise.
just going by what you said.
The motion is on the
Okay,
floor.
that's fine.
I second that motion, so.
We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I think the only way you can accomplish what Councilman wants is if the road is owned by the county. Our policy does not allow us to accept dirt roads into our system. That's where the problem lies. You would have to make a motion to change the policy.
Mr. Chairman, I understand what Councilman from Wilson Hall is saying. It's just a matter of order. We can agree to work out the details and we can come back and change the ordinance if we so see fit, if there's not another way to do it. It doesn't prevent us from changing the ordinance if we agree that we're gonna work with these good citizens to try to reach an acceptable solution. And it's actually 9 residents who live on Kangaroo Lane. We're talking about 9 families.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion fails. Next item on the agenda, ordinance 24-1002, third reading.
Mr. Chair, council members, good evening. Ordinance 24-1002 is up for third reading. This is better known as our bond ordinance. This is for the $3.5 million for the equipment that was discussed at our last meeting. Sir, there are no changes for third reading.
I move for third reading.
Move to third reading. Motion second that we have third reading on ordinance 24-1002. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Third reading is passed. Ordinance 24-1003.
Mr. Chair, this is third reading on what is better known as the county's general fund operating budget. There are no changes since second reading. At second reading, council did approve the additional $24,960 for the Veterans Office part-time position, and that is built into this budget. Currently, what is proposed with that one change is a balanced budget at $62,626,056, which would include use of our fund balance of $429,750. So that is what's proposed for third reading.
Move for third reading.
Mr. Chairman.
Moved and properly seconded that we have third reading on ordinance 24-1003. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, what was the numerical request that the solicitor made in his budget request?
I don't know.
113.
Okay. The request from the solicitor's office was for 2 paralegals at $110,720, and also he added a 6% COLA, which is estimated to be at $107,426.
Mr. Chairman, we're essentially talking about a couple $100,000. And so I'm gonna make a motion, and I know this motion has been put up before and voted down for the exact amount that our county administrator just laid out. But my motion will be a little bit different, so it won't be ruled out of order because it's gonna be for $1 more than the solicitor originally requested. So I'll tell you that up front. The solicitor came to us requesting paralegals and money for attorneys. Again, I bring you back to the government finance office's interpretation. Both of his requests are recurring a court request, which means they go in perpetuity. And so if both of them are recurring requests, we are now again asking one of our agencies to fund a recurring request through a fund balance, which we now know is not the appropriate thing to do. And we subsequently know we don't even have a policy on fund balance. I would suggest to you, Mr. Chairman, that the solicitor's request is a basic service. And I'll back up what I'm saying by prisonpolicyinitiative.org. And here's what they say. Underfunded and overburdened public defense systems deprive people with criminal charges of having equal opportunity to be defended compared to people with the means to hire their own attorneys. And if you read the paper recently, it talked about Sumter County and the backlog of cases that are in Sumter County. So for the life of me, I don't understand why we would ask the solicitor to use his fund balance on a recurring cost when we know that that's not an appropriate accounting measure to use. I noticed we asked the solicitor to use his fund balance. We initially asked the veterans to use their fund balance. Well, we denied them. We denied them because they couldn't afford it. We denied them, and then 4 council members got religion, came back and approved it. That's what happened. And so if we're doing that, and then we're saying to the school district, same thing, use your fund balance. I mean, I just don't understand the rationale for that when this is a basic service that is a recurring cost. And so my motion is to reinstate the solicitor's request at $1 over his initial request.
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say
Nay.
nay. Motion denied. Ordinance number 24.
Wait a minute, Mr. Chairman, before we move on, I have a statement about our budget. Because I'm concerned. After 19 and a half years, this is the last time I will vote on Sumter County fiscal year budget. It's been a win-loss experience. I will always remember during my tenure as chairman that Sumter County had its best financial status and highest bond rating in the history of this county. However, we also had our dark days. Failure to fulfill the annual millage request from Sumter School District from 2016 to 2023 had a negative impact on morale and wages of the school district support staff, non-teachers. These denials were dishonest and made without the full knowledge of all members of Sumter County Council. The lack of funding also had a negative impact on performance rating of Sumter School District students in all grades. 2 of our high schools, Sumter and Crestwood, was rated below average, and 1, Lakewood, was rated unsatisfactory. Consequently, students graduating from Sumter School District were not fully prepared to meet future educational or employment requirements. This is not the only devastation caused by 4 members of this council. There's a history of reluctance to support and respect military veterans by the majority members, 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat. Sumter County has the most veterans per capita in South Carolina, with 13.2% of residents being veterans. Therefore, many veterans seek help from the local Veteran Affairs Office in filing claims to get benefits they are entitled to from the Department of Veteran Affairs. Because there are 16,000 veterans living in Sumter County, the local Veteran Affairs Office is overwhelmed by the number of requests for assistance. With the lack of timely service to over 3,000 veterans, the need for additional staff at vocational rehabilitation is necessary. Vocational office is necessary. The personnel request for one additional position in fiscal year 2019-2020 by local Veteran Affairs Office was rejected by a 4-3 vote. Voting against the request was Councilman Byrd, Baker, Edens, and Sumter. Voting for the position was Baton, McCain, and McCain. It is worthy to inform that on April 30, 2019, Governor Henry McMaster signed legislation to create the South Carolina Department of Veteran Affairs. McMaster said it is important that our veterans, through a cabinet agency, have the status, attention, and focus they have earned through their service to our state and our country. Unfortunately, 4 members of Sumter County Council did not feel that the veterans in Sumter County were worthy of the status, attention, and focus they have earned. It is said that history has a way of repeating itself. During this current budget cycle, fiscal year 24-25, the minutes of the Sumter County Council Budget Workshop dated May 21, 2024, reveals that 4 members, Byrd, Baker, Edens, and McCain, voted against the personnel request for the Veteran Affairs Office. The minutes also reveal that the same 4 councilmen voted to not fund any personnel requests in fiscal year 2024. The minutes of the South Carolina Budget Workforce for May 14th and May 21st are public information. The clerk to council, Ms. Murray Blandon, can be reached at 803-436-2106, can tell you how to obtain copies of these minutes. You will enjoy the contradiction and game. When the 4 council members voted against the Veteran Affairs position, found out that many veterans, male, female, young, old, will attend the regular council meeting on May the 28th. They again met without the knowledge of the full council. They lacked the courage of brave men and women who serve their country and will make the ultimate sacrifice. They voted for the Veteran Affairs position because they did not have the courage to vote no in front of the veterans. They deserve no respect. Our country recently recognized the 80th anniversary of D-Day, June 6, 1944. This invasion changed the course of history. The United States casualty was 29,000 killed and 106 wounded and missing. During the Vietnam War, 58,281 American troops were killed. The average age for these troops were 22.8 years. The American fighting men and women were willing to give their lives in the service of their country. The military veterans of Sumter County will no longer beg non-veterans on Sumter County Council to provide them the support that they earn. In the future, we will pack this Sumter County Chamber and demand respect we have earned as brave men and women who did not turn our backs on this nation under God with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman. There's one other matter related to the budget that I need to raise, and it's regarding the senior summer program. I've been contacted by a number of seniors, and it's my understanding that generally during the summer, kids take over most of the community centers and seniors fall back. It's my understanding that this year we only have programs for the kids at Catch-All and Salterstown. Not because of any inconsistency or wrongdoing by staff, that's just the number of kids that requested to come. And so that leaves Ebenezer, Delane, Eastern, Cherryvale, and Rafton Creek without a senior program for this period. And they have expressed to me that they want to continue with their senior program through the summer. I understand there was some staff pulled from the centers, but if we do that, it leaves our seniors with no programming or outlet for the summer. Our seniors need activities just like our youth. And according to the county's website, the Sumter County Recreation and Parks Department provides an array of recreational opportunities for our citizens, from sports for kids to fun things for senior citizens and everybody in between. There are numerous community centers located throughout Sumter County offering activities for all the family. And so the request is that these centers remain open for the seniors to continue participating in their senior activities. And I can personally vouch for the number of seniors that attend the centers, at least in my district. On any given day, you go in Catch-All, you'll see 75 to 85 people. You go to Delane, you're going to see at least 40. Have not been to Ebenezer. Ms. McGaney could speak to that. But it is a big deal for the seniors, and since we're only using Catch-All and Salterstown, there's no reason to shortchange our seniors.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask if Mr. Dixon would like to say anything? Fill us in on what's going on?
I'm not aware of us shutting down any senior centers. I'll certainly have to review that. I was aware that there are only a couple of sites that are doing the youth program, but that was based on enrollment. But I'm not aware, but I'll certainly research that and certainly do what we can to try to keep those centers open. Certainly, this is news to me. I wasn't aware that we were closing down a senior center, so I'll review that.
Okay, ordinance number 24.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on, the statement I've read, I want to be a part of our minutes. And I'm going to give it to Ms. Blanding so she can include it in our minutes.
Ordinance number 24-1005, third reading.
Mr. Chairman, no changes since that.
Moved and properly seconded that we approve ordinance 24-1005. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Committee reports.
We did have a land use committee meeting this afternoon, and we discussed the item on the first page, front page, 08-2403, and took action on it.
Report from council members on meetings, trainings, or other conferences.
Mr. Chairman, if I could be recognized. I have been participating in a community event called Kickball. You can imagine at my age me trying to participate in kickball, but I was fortunate enough to meet two great young leaders in our community, Mr. Matthew White and Ms. Shirley Turner, who we will hear from shortly. And they have started a kickball community event at Patriot Park every Sunday at 2 o'clock, which I think that's what leaders do. And they are attempting to create community cohesion. And there's a short video that I'd like for us to look at our last kickball game, just to sort of motivate others to come out and be a part of the community and build cohesion. Ms. Blandon, if you don't mind, would you play that, please?
That's special to me. Being in a group of folks these days is kind of tough. But it can be done. Today is stepping stone. I really appreciate it.
Sumter Today is presented by UNC Sumter, Sumter Tourism, and the Cloud.
It was just a vision. It's just us wanting to go and have fun. Like you go and hang out with your friends or your family. Hey, let's get together. Let's do something constructive. We still in good shape. Let's get out. Let's have some fun. Get our hands dirty just a little bit. Why not?
All right, so I'm Matthew White.
I'm Cheryl.
What we're trying to do a free community event for the whole community to come out and have fun. And, you know, peace, joy, happiness, love. You can have fun outside of this, you know. So,
no shade.
Right.
I came out here to just bring my brothers out. My cousin told me about it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring my little brothers out here just to enjoy the time. It's summertime, let the kids play. And you don't see black people come together and doing good. You always see them, hear them doing, oh, they shooting, they killing out all over the place. Yeah, so I like that, bring people together.
How I found out about the event is from my friend Cheryl. She told me that, you know, it was a kickball game. It's a good turnout for the first, time. We had fun. Everybody got their little workout in. So that's always good. But it's a good event, and I hope it grows. And I came because I like sports, but also because I feel like it's been a lot going on that's been like negative. So I felt like this is like a good thing for us to come together.
Man, it was great vibes. It's some great vibes. It's not all bad. It's great vibes. Oh man, we performed okay. I wouldn't say well, but even though the kids were around and adults, everybody was just interacting and fellowshipping. Kids, family, even strangers, because a lot of us don't even know each other that well. But we're all out here having a fun time.
I just want to thank Pastor Washington, his lovely wife that came out and supported us.
It was amazing to see them come out there. It was beautiful. They engaged. They were on the side cheering us. They loved me.
Also want to thank Ms. Brunson, Ms. Valerie Brunson, her support. I also would like to thank our state assembly, South County for popping in.
Absolutely.
He surprised us today. I like that. And it won't be limited to kickball. Kickball is just our day for, it was kickball to kick off something great for the summer.
Absolutely.
See something lined up. That's what we try to do all summer long.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I thought this was really good. These folks deserve a hand. They are future leaders. And by the way, Sunday's event was the county against the city. The county won.
Thank you, Mr. White. Move the reports.
Council members, in your package, you'll see that you all are invited on Friday, June 14th, to the Sumter Community-Based Outpatient Clinic ribbon cutting. Also in your packet, please be aware that the Board of Zoning Appeals will be meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and the information is in your packet. And if you, in case, I think you all know this, click on the blue information, that it will show you more details about what's going to be going on tomorrow. And the Public Works Committee, Public Works Department report is in there. And this is a few months away, but save the date for Town Health, National Health Center Week. Legislative luncheon on Wednesday, August the 7th. And please remember that the end of July is the South Carolina Association of Counties Conference, and those that may be taking classes, please see me. Thank you.
Mr. Nixon, County Administrator.
Mr. Chair, you see on the agenda, at the last meeting, Councilman Washington asked us to try to gather some information about live streaming county council meetings. So we had our IT department do a little bit of a study on it. What it boils down to is there are a number of platforms that we can utilize to live stream. Currently we use YouTube, and there's a platform for YouTube. We also know that Civic Plus is another software. So software is really not the issue. What is the issue is bandwidth. We don't currently have enough bandwidth to actually provide online live feed service of county council meetings. And so what I've done is provided what we currently have, and then also used as a comparison the school district, because we know that they're the other large body that meets, and actually reached out to them to find out what they have available. So you have that information in your packet. I won't go through all the details, but basically we currently have, and I'm going to probably butcher these terms because they're IT technical terms, but 1 gig transport and 300 meg inlet in it, I should say, and then that's what we have. So if you think of a pipe of broadband, that's the information exchange going in and going out. What the city has, the school district has is 10 gig versus our 1 gig, and then they have 1 full gig of internet versus our 300 meg internet. So we looked at the charges. What we're currently paying right now is just over $1,100 a month for the bandwidth that we currently have. So an annual cost of just over $14,000. The school, what they would utilize, our cost would be increased from $1,000 to $3,000 a month. The annual cost would go from $14,000 to $40,000 a year, that would be a difference or an increase. To include, we have some capital items, not very expensive, but we have to get a new camcorder for obviously videotaping, a capture device, a MacBook Pro laptop, and an OBS software. Not sure what OBS software is. These are equipment, but that would be one-time purchase. That's about $4,000, $4,150. But the total overall increase annually would be just over $30,000 to go to a live stream. I'd also like to remind council that remember when we were redesigning this room after COVID, we were at the courthouse and we were redesigning this room. There was a conversation asked of council at that time whether we wanted to go ahead and provide the equipment here necessary to go to a live stream. And at that time, council said no. So we did not pursue that option. But that's the information I have, sir, for tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll review that information and I may come back again.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Come now to the public comment portion of our agenda. Anyone wishing, let me finish, please. Anyone wishing to address council, please proceed to the podium. State your name for the record. If there are any questions, they will be answered after the meeting. Public comment is now open. Thank you.
I'm here on Kangaroo Lane, Scott Clemens. I haven't spoke, but I've been to these 6-7 times. Mr. Washington said we were in a common law marriage. I got a paper here, I bought my house as a deed. As far as I was concerned, this was a contract with the county. That's all I have to say. It has county maintained on it. And it's in the courthouse. My marriage license in the courthouse is legal.
When you did it, I come up here by Kangaroo Lane. First time I came up here to talk with Mr. Jimmy Bird, Mr. Jonathan, Mr. Mixon. They had all these papers at the old courthouse. Every one of them had county maintained road on them. Every one. Y'all looked at me and told me sometimes Sumter County tells a little white lie to help the surveyor. That's where I come up with Sumter County tells lies. I want to get that straight to y'all. Second, third time I come up here by Kangaroo Lane, I was threatened that I didn't want to go to court with Sumter County over that cotton picking dirt road. Fourth time I come up here to bring pictures, I was told that y'all had, that he called names, I ain't calling no names, but it was 4 of them, and a couple more, that y'all had a person on county council from Remedy that thought y'all were supposed to put public equipment on every county and private dirt road, and y'all was gonna make a point to show him y'all wasn't gonna do it. Now, if y'all gonna make a point to somebody to show y'all not gonna work on dirt road, that's spiteful and hateful. And you ain't doing it because spiteful and hateful. Some of you need to look, just like you said about the color, some of you need to look. Everybody in this room here bleeds red. It don't matter what color you is. Y'all need to open your eyes and see how y'all doing people.
That's right.
People get tired of it. Oh, one more thing. I forgot. Excuse me. Last month when I come up in that meeting, Mr. Mix, you stopped me talking about the dirt road right there, right? One of your persons jumped up and said, I'll see you in court over that dirt road. It's a freedom for speech, but it ain't a freedom to threaten somebody taking to court. One of the town councils heard what he said. He gave me the thumbs up, and I told him that I'll see him in court if he wants to go. Ask the town council what he said. We tired of it.
Yes, we are.
Yep. Y'all need to look at your color. See who bleeds gold in here. Nobody. Go ahead, bud.
Okay, thank you. Good early afternoon, Council. George Bates from Westfield, Cougar Way. A couple of county council meetings ago, I asked a question or made a comment on rumble strips down the center line of Highway 763 from 261 almost to Pinewood Road. I don't know why they're there. I'd like answers as to who put them there and why. What governing directives told a contractor or somebody to dig rumble strips down the center of a highway or a roadway where in passing zones, you pull over to pass somebody and it's crazy. I can understand them being in no passing zones because you're not supposed to pass a vehicle, and you don't want people to pass a vehicle in a no passing zone. But why in the world would somebody spend money to put rumble strips down the center line of a highway where you can pass vehicles? That's wasteful. It's ridiculous. It's fraud. Unless there's a governing directive that I have no idea about. I'd like to know what that is. I'd like to know why they were put there, given the condition of some of the roads already. You already got bumps and rumble strips on the middle of the road while you're driving your cars down there and you're paying somebody to put them on the center line of the road. I'd like answers to that. I've got nowhere talking to people about why they're doing it or did it. If it was a mistake, fine, tell me it's a mistake. But I'd like to know why they're put there in passing zones. All you gotta do is drive down 763 from 261 towards Pinewood Road, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You know, the road strips are on the side of the road when people fall asleep or something, they roll over there, and they go, to wake them up. Well, I don't need to be woke up while I'm passing somebody. I'm trying to be as safe as I can be. And the first time I hit him, it damn near run me off the road because I thought somebody hit me. I thought somebody hit me. And I think other people, if they pass somebody, might feel the same way. I don't know. I'm just saying I'd like an answer to that. Thank you. Y'all have a blessed one. Please be careful.
Good evening, Chairman McCain. When I came to attend the meeting,
Your name, please, ma'am, for the
my
record.
name is Sherry White. I'm a member of the Sumter School District Board of Trustees. I represent Area 7. When I came tonight, I only came for the purpose of supporting our superintendent and our chief financial officer in their report to the council. However, I heard a lot of things tonight that were very disturbing. And I did want to address to the chairman that we are diligently working to increase our product, which is supposed to be a well-educated, well-rounded individual when they graduate from high school. We do not have a money problem in our district. We have a policy problem, and we have a participation problem. Absenteeism is out of the roof. That is not the fault of the county council. That is not the fault of the superintendent, and it is not the fault of the board of trustees. The video that we just saw with the kickball, that was fantastic. That is the kind of participation from family members of students that we need. We have brilliant students in this county. We have millions and millions of dollars of scholarships that they have earned, and they are a product of our school system, okay, public schools, and they are from every high school we have. Do we have failures? Oh, yes, we do. We have lots of them. But money, throwing money at every problem, we talk about the poor being served by our schools and them getting their lunches like they're supposed to, and they should be. Our on-time rate has increased this year tenfold, if you will go and look at the statistics. It is improving. We are working to improve all aspects. However, I also hear when you talk about serving the poorest in our community, and Area 7 has a lot of the poorest folks in this community, in the same breath, you're talking about adding tax after tax after tax. And the only one that I've heard discussed that makes any sense is the penny sales tax. Because by my understanding, when talking with various council members, is the penny sales tax is actually paid approximately 30% by people who do not live in Sumter County, who come here to play baseball, tennis, pickleball, whatever it is. But we need to see community involvement, parental and family involvement with these kids to make sure they are in that school when they're supposed to be, and they're paying attention, and they can get their education. Thank you very much.
Everyone.
Seems like I just saw y'all on the
Yes,
I'm Cheryl Turner.
Evening County Council members, my name is Matthew White. All right, so we came to get a little bit of y'all time. I know y'all busy, but you know. So, together, me and Cheryl started a group called The Solution, where our motto is we come armed with weapons of prayer, knowledge, work, action, hope, and change. Our symbol is a single puzzle piece representing the disconnect between local government officials and the community. We started a community building event we call Teen Sumter Summer Lineup, which is a free event for all to spark a new trend of creating positive recreational events inside the community to help foster a safer community by bringing everyone together to help aid in our attempt to dismantle the recent violence that has been affecting our community. Our hope is to make this a weekly thing for families and friends during the summer and add more activities and to include representatives from educational, trade schools, certification programs to help our locals get higher paying jobs or advance in their careers. As we grow, there will be something for everyone to enjoy, have fun, learn about educational and career advancements, all at the same time of making sure Sumter is a true community of peace. We're asking for your support in helping us achieve what we're trying to accomplish. This can also benefit the county as it can open up concessions for those that are spectating and out getting information from local institutions and programs that a lot of people don't even know that we have. Like Central Carolina has a lot of things that offers people to do as far as trade and certifications. When they can go, especially in healthcare, they can go from trade in healthcare and go straight to prison right off the bat. Or they can go straight from Continental to Mechatronics. It's a lot of great things, and we like to combine fun and education all at the same time to build up something better. I want all ages because they don't start with just little kids, but we got those in the middle that just lost and don't know nothing about none of this information.
That's our age.
That's right. They don't even know. And I have been trying to reach out to everyone. That's why I would like for y'all to actually come out and let the people see y'all. Come make them show that y'all care.
Mr. Washington has been hands-on. Him and his wife and his whole entire family have been very hands-on with us for the past 2 weekends so far. He brought the whole family to play kickball with us. That's big to me. Somebody who's very busy, everybody's busy, but everybody's busy for what they want to do. Let's do something important. That's all I'm trying to do. And I would love more support in as many ways as possible.
Especially you coming from District 6. I would love for mine to come out there and join us.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks for your time.
Good evening, Council. Chairman, my name is Myra Washington. Once again, I am back to talk about the dozer purchase. I did receive information regarding the procurement process that was followed, and it pointed to an emergency ordinance to justify the sole sourcing of this equipment. And before I go down, I do have questions that I just want to put on hold tonight regarding that process of it being an emergency, because according to the information I received, this piece of equipment has been down for about 6 years. We have been substituting using a track loader, which is not equipped the proper equipment to load the debris. So I'm kind of a little bit confused as to an emergency that has extended over 6 years. But I want to cover that later, but I do want to jump to the specs that I received, which are the same specs that were given the night of first reading. And the reason I requested specs on the vehicles because what we were given are not specs. This is an assessment of the components of the vehicle with, I guess, the company that's selling it opinion of the condition. In other words, it does not, I don't think I misplaced what was given. It does not detail what type of engine. We talked about comparing apples to apples, and that was the purpose of obtaining the specs on this particular vehicle. And also, it's, again, you purchased a D6TXL, and not a, what was given, the comparison is a D6TWH. And there's a big difference between the waste handler and the XL, which is what the county purchased. But based upon what I looked at, it lines up with the price still being way out of line for a D6TXL. And so again, I would like actual specs that give the engine components, what type of blades are on this unit, etc. And I see I'm running out of time, but I do want to say that you are the fiscal authority for the county. You know, not to understand the budget process is not sufficient. I mean, you need to take the time to learn and ask questions to make sure you're making the right calls. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Gates from Kangaroo Lane, and I just have a few questions that I don't understand myself. I have several things that I want to bring to y'all's attention. In 2003, 2003, I have a plat that says county maintained. 2005, I also have the same thing. Then if I go through my papers and come to 2005 again, it states on 4/15/2005 is the county maintained road. Then it states that it appears to be a county maintained road. Y'all keep using the appear, not the maintain. But in 2007, and it says it's not, we used to say scrape. Now it's called bladed. In 2007, when we bought our land, I have it stated that it's bladed. There has been a huge mistake made. There is too many documents that, you know, yes, there's someone here that says it appears to be maintained. It's done by the same surveyor. But I don't understand, when we bought our property, we had to have this. Now y'all telling us this is not a legal document. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense at all. Please, can someone help me understand why y'all won't even look at us in the face and tell us this, you know, you say it's not legal, that grandfather clause doesn't count. But way back, if I go way back in the back of this book, I can show you pictures of where my husband's family originated from.
Don't go back that far.
But I also can show you that Mr. Eric established the land for $5. It was, you know, he got it from his mother. Okay, Eric had nothing to do with this. This was from his mother that probably had authority over the land. So could there have been an agreement with those in that past? And now we're paying for y'all not understanding that we also pay taxes. We're not doing this for our benefits. We have a granddaughter and a grandson that we want to leave this to, that we've worked hard for them so they can say, my nana and my papa had this. Y'all need to come to an agreement instead of, you know, looking at us like we're just troublemakers. We're doing what's right. The land was done right when we purchased it. Please come together and understand this. Y'all won't even look at us in the face because we're standing our ground on what is right. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jerry.
Very good. I did over everything.
Anyone else? Public comment session is closed.
Mr. Chairman, when Mr. Gettings made his comment, it sounded as if he was asking or making a complaint about interactions he's had with specific staff employed by Sumter County. My question to you is, what is the policy for addressing when a citizen has a complaint about an interaction with a staff member? What is our policy?
We'll address the complaint. That's the policy.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Washington.
Does that mean there is no set policy? There is no procedure? It goes to a council subcommittee, it goes to the county administrator, then a county subcommittee, then full council. What I'm asking you, is there a policy and procedure in place for our citizens? Because remember, as I told you, it's about the people, and this is the people's house. Is there a policy in place, Mr. Chairman?
Just getting this, I would say first you'd have to look at the origin of the complaint, and you would have to determine if it's subordinate to a position, subordinate to the administrator, then you would address that in some form to the administrator, either in writing or some type of personal meeting. If the complaint's about the county administrator himself, then I would recommend that the person see the chairman of Sumter County Council, who would deem, determine what would be the appropriate action at that time.
So if the complaint is about a staff member, which you supervise,
Which I supervise,
you would take some action and then come to council?
I would listen and get the information from the particular individual and then make a recommendation based on that information.
To council?
Yes, sir. If that's where they want to take the complaint. Complaint based on the administrator, yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Motion to adjourn. Second. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.